Okay, so now we're on to staff reports. Item 16, DC remission application. Katrina. Yes, please.
Hello, Katrina. Well, just YouTube. I can see the operation was a success. Katrina.
Okay.
Katrina.
I need to lift my head closer.
Now I've got a new nickname.
I'll take the report as read.
Not funny.
Right. Have we got any questions? Sarah's first, and then there was Andre.
Thanks so much. I just want to try and address the concern around why they're being charged DCs in the first place. Is the current art centre market, the actual market that operates on the weekend, does that have a consent? It would have to have its own consent.
From memory, there's a historic resource consent for a market.
Yeah.
I would just comment in respect of the deputation that when we assess the use for development contributions, we consider what the nearest equivalent use is, a market, in lieu of a assumption for the number of trips generated by food trucks per se. We apply the nearest equivalent, which was deemed a market. Recognising that the food trucks in this situation are not identical to a market, we did give a 67% discount on it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the additional use kind of thing, because the current sort of historic sort of consent that's there for the south would cater for a large number of people coming on the weekend, and I would assume that there'd be lesser people. And so, yeah, I'm really not clear on how we think that it's going to generate a lot more people rather than just feeding people who turn up.
The calculation for the development contributions was based on transport movements of staff rather than all the visitors that come to the market, to the centre, or to the food truck specifically. So it's just under 1.5 vehicles per food truck that's been assumed to work out the development contributions, which, as you can imagine, takes no account of the number of visitors that potentially buy food from the trucks. Now, in terms of the point that was made about people not visiting specifically for the food trucks, the risk of applying that argument across the central city as a whole is the Kentucky Fried Chicken, for instance, that's in its own building on Lumber Street. They would be exempt from development contributions if they made if it was accepted that people aren't visiting the central city for KFC. They're coming to buy clothing, they're coming to shop, and they happen to be buying food at KFC.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Cool, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to please move option 2, which is granting the remission.
I'm going to second that. Sorry, what was option? Did you say?
Option 2, approving the remission.
So say it again, sorry, I didn't hear.
Option 2, which is approving the remission. On page 225 or 7.
Okay, so we've got Mel with the question.
No, I was going to move the staff recommendation. So I'll foreshadow that.
Can I second Mel's foreshadow motions? Right. I knew the day would come, Mel.
That's just fine.
It's only taken 15 years. Okay, so
That's brilliant.
so at the moment we've got number 2, which is option 2 has been moved and seconded, and the foreshadow motion is the staff recommendation. So, Yanni.
Just a question, I think.
A question? Yeah.
Hi, so there used to be food trucks at the art centre before we left. They didn't pay development. So just trying to understand, obviously we had that whole discussion about just a use rise. Is there any link between what we might do in terms of our proposed policy and what's being proposed.
I wasn't unfortunately at the discussion on proposed policy, but the food trucks that existed previously, the reason that what's triggered the development contributions is that they needed resource consent for the establishment of the food trucks, the number and the period of time that they're at the foods at the arts centre. So they couldn't rely on existing use rights, hence they needed resource consent.
Because the idea is that there'll be more food trucks and that those food trucks will be there longer than what the old.
And beyond what the rules allow within the current.
Good, all right.
Oh, thank you. Just thought there'd be a big lineup. So just on item 4 of the staff rec about the payment plan. So the 24-month timeline is, so talk to me about sort of the rationale for 24 months and what extended or.
By exception, we do allow for payment over a period of time to recognise affordability, where someone that's been charged development contributions can't pay it up front. And that varies depending on the circumstances. We don't generally like to have every situation where there's a payment plan, and hence by exception, but we do it. 2 years for a payment plan would
That's
be
standard.
No, I was going to say.
Sorry, not standard, like that's been 24 months is kind of like, that's the exceptional kind of standard exception.
No, it's typically 12 months. 18 months has been an exception of made recently. 24 would stretch it.
So that's quite significant. Yeah, okay.
On 3.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. Right, Tyler, please.
Is there anything with that's a unique and compelling circumstance at all within the application from the Arts Centre?
As I've noted in paragraph 6.5, the Arts Centre's value to Christchurch is undeniable, and its proposed landmark status, obviously it's one of 3 sites that will have landmark status. So in that respect, a case could be made based on the qualities that makes it exempt. It's really what is, in terms of demonstrating unique and compelling circumstances, just what aspect has to be unique and compelling, and we don't have that guidance necessarily, but what an alternative way to look at it is the unique and compelling context of its demand on infrastructure that application is warranted for a remission, or is it the use itself? And if the view is taken that it's the activity or the use of, it's the context of the buildings that surround it, then there's a case, but that shouldn't be the only factor that's considered when determining what's unique and compelling.
Okay, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but you noted that the development contributions that they needed to come up with were associated to the staff numbers within those staff/vehicle numbers at 1.5 per food truck, which is around 20 food trucks is what they said, right? So they're needing to pay $17,000 for 20 food trucks plus 1.5.
17,000 is based on, is the calculation with the discount already applied, 67%. The assumption of the number of trips per food truck of 1.49, for which that there's maths behind it. So
Yeah, can you tell us, for public knowledge, can you tell us how you would get it?
I don't have, sorry, I don't have
That's all right, that's fine.
to hand, but
Okay.
Is it per day or per week or?
1.5 per, it will be per day.
So I'm pretty sure we're done with questions. We'll go into debate. Thank you, Mark. Andre's kicking off first.
Thank you. Yeah, about a year ago, we demanded that the Arts Centre generate more income, and then it sort of feels like we've been grossly offended that they started trying to generate more income. It's taken about a year to get consent for new food trucks. Our processes seem overly complex processes. It seems like they need to be more pro-business. At present, they seem kind of anti-business. But the good news is I am reporting this example of this overly long process to the new red tape hotline. Seems like there has been a lot of red tape involved in this, plus a whole lot of extra costs involved. So goodness knows how the vote on that will go, but I think it's, yeah, seems like a load of nonsense to me. So hopefully one day it will be easier to support and start new small businesses in Christchurch. Thanks.
Okay, Melanie.
Look, the only thing I'm going to say is that we need reasons why an application for a remission is unique and compelling. And so far I've heard nothing to support that. So I'd be interested to see if anyone actually debates with anything to support that position. Thanks.
Aaron?
Yeah, so unique and compelling circumstances is the Arts Centre itself. It is an attraction like no other in this country, hence what its heritage status listing will be. It attracts more people than the museum, more than the library, more than the art gallery, which we are happy to pour bucket loads of money into every year. And this one, it's a small tin cup that we pour into. So as attractions to the city go, the Arts Centre outshines the others. I'm not downplaying the others. They've been incredible attractions, all of them. But the Arts Centre gets the numbers. And if we don't do the remission as put, then we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, because we'll just have to take it out of rates further down the thing anyway. So it's a lose-lose. So let's just come out winners on this one and go with the motion that's been put forward to do the remission.
Nani?
Thank you. In a similar vein, I mean, I would suggest that the Arts Centre is a unique and compelling case. For those of us who remember what it used to be like before the earthquake, there is no way that anywhere near the amount of people using it now is equivalent to what was back then, especially when you take into account the ducks. So in good faith, unique and compelling circumstance for me is that there's no way we can justify a growth component of charging a DCs for the activity that's going to occur on the site when it's still probably nowhere near the level it used to be. We want it to get there, and it would be great when it does. But for me, like, I just can't understand the justification for charging for growth when actually I can't make that in my mind. I can't make sense that this would be additional to what was previously there before the earthquake. So we heard a lot from people yesterday around development contribution policies, criteria, rebates, existing credits. I'm also aware that we had a number of food markets, caravans on the site before the earthquake as well. And they didn't pay DCs, to the best of my knowledge. I think they were probably predated having DCs there. So to me, it just seems the unfortunate set of circumstances where we had an earthquake. Things have been a long time coming in terms of the Arts Centre getting back on track. They've done an incredible job rebuilding and getting new activities on site, but it has taken a long time. And I'm more than happy to support the remission, given the unique circumstances associated to it. I would struggle to find a comparative thing in the central city like the Arts Centre. I can't. So yeah, and on that basis, I think it is.
Thank you, Jan. That's good. Sarah, please.
Kia ora koutou. I understand that staff are in a position where they are following the rules that we have put in place over many years, both when it comes to who gets charged development contributions and the policy for any rebate. But there are a couple of things here that I think are unique and compelling. The first is the one that Yanni talked about, where there was a greater use prior to the earthquakes. We simply don't have a system in place like we have had for some of the residential and commercial rebuilds with rebates in the past. We haven't had a system where something like this could get, for example, DC credits. And so we just haven't put that system in place. They were hugely impacted by the earthquakes. They used to have food trucks, all of those kind of things. The other unique and compelling circumstance that's very different to, for example, KFC, is that this is something we have asked them to do as a council. And I think that the fact that we have asked them to go out and find more sources of revenue to be more commercial, and then they have gone and done this, is unique. We haven't invited KFC into the central city and told them that, that they're needed. So I think this is unique and compelling, and it seemed completely counterproductive for us to go and tell them to earn more revenue and then take some of that to start with. So I'll be voting in favour of the motion to remit it. I believe it's unique and compelling. I don't think it will set a precedent, and I'd like to support them in this way today.
Pauline. Oh, thank you. No, this is a really tricky one, and I agree with the comments that have been made. However, I think in the light of the fact that they've already received a 67% discount on what should have been charged, and given the 2 years to pay off, I think lightens the load considerably. And I think that would help us in the greater scheme of things, because there are others who are operating businesses in a similar area that probably don't get this discount. So I think we're looking after them in that regard. So I would be inclined to be supporting the staff recommendations.
Thank you. I'll be supporting the staff recommendation simply because the Arts Centre is unique. There is no question about that, as is the museum. But if you ask either of them, which would be a shame, to charge an entry fee, because they both say they get millions of, or 1 million visitors, etc., and that they are truly unique, as the museum is to the Arts Centre, they're $5 entry, 5 million increase in their income. Their visitors, or the museum, yeah, their visitors would drop. Their visitation would drop, and we don't want that. The food trucks are not unique. Absolutely, they're not. So we've asked them to be more commercial. That's great, and they are being, and they've done a great job with that. But that doesn't mean that we should give them a free hand. We had the developers coming to us yesterday, just yesterday, saying how difficult it was, how hard it was out there in business. What about the riverside? All those unique places there. Technically, those food places are not unique. They are different, but they are not unique. And suddenly you go into town and you go, well, should I go to the food truck, or I go to a restaurant, or should I go to a bar? Should I go to the riverside? There is competition there. One, though, has to pay a fortune. The other is getting what, a bit of a, because they're unique. The Arts Centre is unique. There is no question about that. The food trucks aren't. Everyone's got to pay their way. A 67% discount with a 24-month payment scheme is absolutely unique. And yeah, I will be supporting the substantive. Thank you.
How?
Yeah, a lot of it's already been said. Juxtaposed against the funding for the art gallery, it seems like a paltry amount. I know we have supported them consistently in the past, but we did, as Sarah pointed out, we did ask them to go away and act in a more commercial way. This is what they're doing. I really feel that we need to cut them some slack here. I mean, the food trucks enhance the experience for those people who are going down there. I've been down there myself. I think it's a good little operation. It gives people another reason to stick around, and so I'll be supporting Andre's.
Tyler?
For those who remember, I remember being reminiscent of when I was a child, and there were locations within the central city of which I remembered very clearly. One of them was the Canterbury Museum, obviously, and we've talked about that in the cave. The other one was the Arts Centre, particularly the market. And when Dad used to walk me through the Arts Centre with my brothers, we used to hate going in at the start because we wanted to go to the pool. But we remembered how awesome it was to walk around the Arts Centre and walk around the CBD. Now, we're talking about revitalising the central city quite often, actually. And everyone's saying, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? We have an option to be able to help the Arts Centre diversify its portfolio, which we've asked them to do. We've asked them to try and make a bit more bang for their buck, which we asked them to do, and they're trying to deliver. And then with the $17,000, of which many of us would probably think that it's minimal in comparison to the millions we vote on, $17,000 is actually a pretty good amount for OPEX. You know, that's a 0.25 FTE for a cleaner or an artist, or things like that. So those are really important things. Every cent counts, and we heard the Arts Centre talk about how much it counted. I also wanted to appreciate staff for the leniency that they had within the policy and actually providing alternative means to be able to ensure that the Arts Centre were able to sustain it across a bit more long term. So thank you so much, staff and Mark, for that. And lastly, if we're addressing unique and compelling circumstances, I've already talked about the unique part and the compelling part. But one of the things I wanted to think about here was we made promises. We made promises to revitalise the CBD. We made promises to make sure that the Arts Centre was up and running. And also there was overwhelming support from the city to make sure that the Arts Centre was supported only 2 years ago. So if we're going to do that, I reckon we continue to do that. Kia ora.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I think we've already bent over backwards to offer support, and we need to be really careful, as Councillor Templeton mentioned, about precedent, because we have a policy that says unique and compelling, and yet every case that has come before us, we've deemed as unique and compelling.
To some down.
No, not to my memory. So I think we really have to go, look, actually, you have a business activity, it has a growth component, you pay your DCs on that. The way we help and support cultural treasures of which this is clearly perhaps second to none in our city is through grants and operational support. Don't muddle the two. I've never voted to muddle the two for, and I simply couldn't vote for that in this case.
James?
As much as I value the Arts Centre and the important role it plays in our city's cultural fabric, I can't support the request for their development contributions to be remitted. If it was a directly charitable initiative or about rising the tide for the whole city, or if it was going to bring in additional revenue for Christchurch via a rateable value uplift, there might be more of a case for it. But it's not. It's about subsidising some commercial food trucks and not others. And those others operate in a competitive commercial environment, just like the ones at the Arts Centre will. So the Arts Centre already receives grant funding from ratepayers. Local businesses are helping fund the Arts Centre through the rates they pay via their OPEX. And now this asks for a further subsidy for commercial operators to compete against other commercial operators who are already subsidising them. The competitors that the Arts Centre speaks of are our city's existing ratepayers and businesses, most of which are receiving no ratepayer funded grants at all. So while I want to see the Arts Centre thrive, picking winners at the expense of others is not the right way to go about things. We need to support the city as a whole. Approving this sort of remission would quite understandably go down with almost everyone in the commercial world like a cup of cold sick. Think about what sort of precedents you're setting. I like the Arts Centre, but this request completely misses the mark.
Thank you. I waited to the end because I was really struggling with this today. Thank you, James, for finishing on those points. I'm really encouraged to hear that the Arts Centre have some new revenue streams, and they rattled off a number of them to us, and like we have asked them to do. And I really look forward to hearing how those go in the future. So I'm mindful that this is only one of a number of new revenue streams that they've got on the go. And I do have some sympathy for the position they find themselves in, and particularly I agree with it's a bit of a long bow in terms of the additional strain on the roading infrastructure. I really do think it's a long bow, but I acknowledge that staff have made some exceptions about that calculation and they've reduced it, and also that they've made some offerings for some time payment options. The thing that I'm particularly concerned about is being mentioned by Tim and by James about the equity piece and the need for a level playing field for all of our city businesses and everybody who's trying to balance the books. So we ought to support the Arts Centre, and indeed we do support the Arts Centre on multiple different fronts, but I don't think we should be doing so at the expense of the others in the city who are operating in a competitive environment. So I won't be supporting the motion passed by, Andre, and I will be supporting the shadow passed by
Mark?
Thank you. This is one I've been swaying from side to side in this debate. It's a tough one. I do see the unique and compelling aspect of the Arts Centre, as we pretty much all do. But at the same time, also can understand the potential to be setting a precedent and kicking sand in the face of the other food retailers in the CBD. So it's a really tough decision for us to make here. okay, it doesn't seem like a big sum. But at the same time, it's how the optics are on it, you know. Coming down to how I've gone through this debate, I'm leaning on the side of not supporting the motion on the table and going with staff rec.
Yeah, well, and very soon we're going to be debating millions of dollars worth of development contribution remissions. And if anyone argues that we need to do those, but that we absolutely had to charge $70,000 for a few food trucks, good luck with that debate. So we'll come back to this and give this example. If we can't give development contribution rebates here, how on earth are we going to have millions of dollars for them for other businesses? So yeah, I look forward to that debate if this gets voted down.
Aren't you wanting the 6 for it?
You've cracked the comment. There's two different things we're talking about.
Just two different things.
He's saying,
Just
he's
about.
saying rebate both, not do one or the other.
You won't have to point the finger at me, Andre.
Okay, so we've done all the debate, everyone's done happy. So we'll put the motion that Andre has moved, which is the option 2, and sorry, Tyler, did you second?
Yep.
Was it you? Yeah, Tyler seconded it. I'll put that motion.
There's no division.
Division, please.
So we do just need to put in.
Ban and multiplication just to be a bit different.
Yes. Oh, yes, yep. So then you're happy with that rewording of your motion?
It's like millions of dollars in between.
Andre, you're happy with that rewording of your?
Oh, yes.
That's good. All right. So this is a division on the Art Center Development Contributions Remission application to approve that application consistent with the policy under unique and compelling circumstances. Councillor Peters.
No.
Councillor Fields.
No.
Councillor Harrison Hunt.
Yes.
Councillor Coker.
No.
Councillor Donovan. The Deputy Mayor Cotter.
No.
Councillor Henstock.
No.
Councillor Moore.
Yes.
Councillor Goff.
No.
Councillor Johansson.
Yes.
Councillor Kewen.
Yes.
Councillor Barber.
Yes.
Councillor McClellan.
No.
Councillor Scandrett.
No.
The Mayor.
No.
Councillor Templeton.
Aye.
Standard voting lines. Could have predicted that one. As block voting.
Yeah.
I think that's
United and anti.
Votes block.
It's those who understand business.
Okay, so that, thank you, that has failed, thank you very much. So now we'll put foreshadow motion, which is moved by James and seconded by. Do we want to do version on it?
Just flip it.
James.
Technically, it was moving.
It's the weirdest coupling that has happened.
Sorry, my mistake.
So
So
weird.
are we gonna,
Yeah.
Do you want a division?
thank you, sorry.
It's the first issue.
James, just retire it.
Even changing their
Just
vote,
be one of them.
otherwise.
Right,
Let's just.
so, all right, all of those in favour of the staff recommendation? Aye. Against?
No.
That is carried, thank you very much.
Well
Right,
done, Mel. I'm gonna
Okay,
go out
so-
on that now.
now,